And so Jews hated them so much that if they were going from Judea to Galilee, they would not go right through Samaria. They would take a left and go around the province of Samaria to get to Galilee because they hated them. And so this story is about a woman who lived in a little town in Samaria. And this was a woman with a past. I mean, this is a woman who hadn't been married one time. She hadn't been married 2 or 3 or 4 times. But by her own admission, she'd been married 5 times. And now the 6th guy that she is with, she's not married to, she's just living with. And if that's kind of extreme in our culture, it was very, very rare in their culture. And this woman, she lived in this small town, Sychar. And you know, the reality is in a small town like Sychar, it's kind of like Salina or Pilot Point, tiny. She grew up there. And so she knew everybody, and everybody knew her. And the only problem with that is everybody knew her business. And so this woman in this little small town, she only has a couple of possible scenarios of why she's in the situation that she's in when we see her in this story. She's been married 5 times on her 6th guy. Scenario 1 is that all of her husbands died, right? And so she had all these different husbands, and husband 1, 2, 3, and 4 all died. And in that culture, if you had that experience, you were a cursed person. And so she would have been a social outcast away from everybody else. The second scenario is this, that all of her husbands left her for another woman. And imagine if you were her and all of your husbands had abandoned you, had walked away from you, had left you for someone else. Imagine every time that she looked in the mirror, she wouldn't have been cursed by others. She would have felt cursed inwardly. What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why is this happening to me? They're all leaving me. And so she would have felt horrible inside. Thirdly, it might have been that she was a social outcast because here's the deal. She couldn't bear children. And in that society and in that culture, women's primary #1 value was to bear children. And so she couldn't bear children. It might have been that she married husband number 1. Husband number 1 found out she couldn't bear children. He divorced her. Husband number 2. And it just was a cycle. So we don't know the reasons why she had been married and divorced 5 times on her 6th guy. It could have been decisions from others or decisions of her. But the reality is no matter what it is, we don't know, but we do know this. This is a woman who needed dignity. And this is a woman who needed love. And this is a woman who desperately needed inside a friend and needed someone to accept her. And this was a woman with a public past that had been an outcast.